What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing my brother's 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee Trackhawk. So this is essentially a Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT with a Hellcat motor, if you don't know what it is. So it's got a Hellcat motor, but it's all-wheel drive, and I've driven it a few times. Today I finally got to take it on the highway, kind of get it up to speed, see how fast it was. Someone's texting me. It's probably Kevin telling me not to romp on it, but we're gonna romp on it just a little bit. So I wanted to give you guys my perspective. I own a Hellcat, obviously, and I also have the Ford F-150, so that's what the title is for. But I think, honestly, on the inside, it's not too much different. Obviously, when you go through the screen, you have all the options for choosing if you want the drag setup, the street setup, all that stuff, just like the Hellcat does. And all these buttons, like the launch button, the sport, the auto, track, snow, all that stuff comes on an SRT as well. I just want to give you guys my impressions of, my initial impression of driving it, what it feels like, and if you're interested in buying one, or if you're just interested in seeing what driving one is like, you can kind of learn some stuff here. So let's get started. And I can't tell if you can hear the noise in the back, but Kevin did delete the muffler, and the muffler is huge on these things because they want to make them obviously quiet for, the person that's going to, it's a family vehicle, it's an SUV, it's not like a Hellcat, so they make the muffler a lot larger trying to quiet it down. But so if you hear the exhaust in the back, it does have a muffler delete, that's not stock, but everything else is stock, so just gonna throw that out there. So initial impressions upon driving is you don't feel this thing shift at all. So I haven't felt it shift one bit yet. I've seen the car shift. It's really crazy. It's almost like if you've ever driven a CVT transmission, they don't shift at all. So yeah, you barely feel the shifts, which is kind of cool. The steering is really light and effortless, which I really enjoy. The car is a little heavy. I think it's like 5,300 pounds without anyone in it. So it's a little bit heavy, but obviously it's an SUV, so that's why it's heavy, and it's all-wheel drive. And it can seat 5 people comfortably. All right, so it's also got, it's got lane departure, which Kevin was trying to get used to, I guess. So it will pull you back in your lane if you're kind of drifting. Which is pretty cool. And it's got all your normal sensors when you're backing up, beeps at you. It's got the front sensors also. I believe this does have a front camera, which is really cool. I wish my Challenger had that because the front end is so long on my Challenger, sometimes it's hard to park it with knowing, like, how close you are to the actual curb in front of you. But driving it, this thing is really smooth. I'd be interested to see if you put it in sport mode, if it stiffens it up a little bit. I mean, you can definitely feel the bumps, but for a Jeep SUV, it's pretty smooth over here. And these roads suck really bad. Obviously, if you can see these roads, they're horrible. They're patched everywhere. But it's definitely a really smooth ride. Does it feel like a $100,000 car? I don't think so. Like I said in one of my other videos, I wouldn't pay that much just because it's a Jeep, but when you drive it, you get the reason why, why they had to charge so much. But I don't feel like I'm driving a $100,000 vehicle. I feel like I'm just driving a Jeep with a fuck ton of power. So we're gonna get on it just a little bit here. Wow. Oh shit. Okay, this thing squats. Holy crap. With the all-wheel drive, the back end just drops and it squats, and it doesn't spin at all, it just goes. So that's something I'm not used to, which I really wish I had in the Hellcat, obviously. That is the biggest complaint about the Hellcats, is they come with shitty Pirelli summer tires, and even with the stock power, the 707, it just spins the crap out of those tires. You do upgrade to a drag radial like we did, but obviously my Hellcat isn't stock anymore. It makes 800, pretty much 800 wheel horsepower right now, so it destroys drag radials. But man, this thing, there is just no hesitation. This thing just goes. Wow, that was awesome. That's That's different. I've had a 500 horsepower Evo and that thing threw you in your seat, but man, this thing really kicks you hard. Holy shit. So it still handles pretty well around corners. I mean, definitely for a larger vehicle, you're gonna feel a little bit of body roll, but it handles pretty well for being as large of a vehicle as it is. I really do like the digital speedometer in the middle. With all the new cars, they're kind of going to the digital way, and it's easier to read, obviously, because it's digital and it's telling you exactly what it is instead of having to look over there. I mean, it's still got the analog over there, but it's got the center digital, which is really nice. And Kevin's not quite at 500 miles yet. It's at 457. Once you get to 500 miles, the computer will unlock the launch mode, and then you can actually put it into launch mode and practice launching it with the all-wheel drive. But Jeep did that because they want to make sure you break in the car properly. At least give it some break-in period before you start launching the shit out of it, which I'll be really interested to actually launch this thing. That'll be fun. I don't know if Kevin's gonna let me, but yeah. Now I do kind of feel cautious, a little more cautious than driving my own cars. One, because it's Kevin's, not mine, but two, which is probably the main reason, just because I know the price tag of the car. It kind of makes you feel like, oh man, I really got to watch where I'm going, watch where I'm driving. And I already drive, you know, pretty cautious when I'm around other people, because I just don't trust other drivers on the road. But knowing that, you know, you're behind the wheel of a $100,000 car, it kind of makes you think twice about everything you're doing. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, I'm scared to mess it up. It's an expensive car. But like I said, if I didn't know, based on the seats, geez, come on people, based on the seats and the steering wheel, you know, minus all the badges and everything, you would think you're in just a regular SRT, which it's cool if you're gonna go for like the stealth factor, you know, kind of the sleeper, I guess, if you will. And I think a lot of people out there that don't know what a Trackhawk is, they will not know the difference. If you take the supercharged badging off the side, take the Trackhawk off the back, people will not know the difference. Obviously, if you know what you're looking for, you'll know the difference. But, you know, even in my Hellcat, some people are still like, what's a Hellcat? I'm like, oh my gosh, what's a Hellcat? Are you serious? You don't know what a Hellcat is? So, definitely in the Jeep, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, it's just a Jeep, you know, SRT, if people even know what SRT is. But, yeah, it's really comfy, though. I mean, having this much power and then having the capability to tow stuff, I think it tows up to like 7,200 pounds or 7,000 pounds. So having the capability of towing, seating 5 people, and then, you know, beating the shit out of it and gapping a bunch of people, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that you can have all that in one vehicle. And so I think that's what the price is for. Now I still firmly believe that the price could have been like 80, 85, which is what the base MSRP is. But once you spec it out, you're at 100,000, 101,000. So I get it. But if you could be at the total sticker 85, 80,000, I think it's totally worth it. I would probably, I mean, I can't afford one, but if I could, I would highly consider buying one, because it's pretty much all your vehicles in one. Like I said, the only thing that is true is that it does scare me when I'm driving around. I'm definitely more cautious when I'm driving it around. So that's the only thing. But I feel like once you get used to it, comfortable, you know, you just drive it kind of like a normal car. Let's see how it hits this bump. It's a little firm. The ride's a little firm. And I need to turn right. This person gonna go? Okay, I'm going. Cool, good talk. Jeez, move out of my way. Yeah, she gets up and goes. Alright, so my overall thing, I love this Jeep. I think it's freaking badass. If you have the money and you're looking for something that's all-wheel drive, you can take the kids in, and you want to race it on the weekends, or, you know, pull up next to whatever on the street and beat the shit out of them in a Jeep, you should buy this. But you better be ready to spend $100,000. I was kind of interested to see how strong the T-case was, how strong the rear diff was, and it looks like Hennessy Performance already has their 1,000 horsepower package on the Jeep, and they had no complaints so far, and they actually test theirs pretty good. So obviously the drivetrain can hold up to the power, and that's what my biggest thing was. Can the drivetrain really hold that much power? I mean, that's a lot of torque. You know, when you start messing with Evos, that's the first thing you start worrying about once you get into that 500 horsepower ranges. Is the T-case going to hold up? Is the diff's going to hold? Is the rear diff going to hold up? And it looks like Jeep and Dodge figured it out together, and it holds really strong. And this thing launches out of the hole. I mean, we didn't even have it in launch mode, but when you roll it and then floor it, I mean, this thing squats. You feel the whole back end just drop. So it's really cool. It's definitely, it's an expensive vehicle, but you get what you pay for. The only thing, like I said in my other videos, I wish it looked a little different. I do love that the Durango SRT has the hood kind of like the Hellcat. I think they should have integrated that into the Jeep, but I get it. They wanted to keep it more of like a Jeep on the outside, which makes sense. So yeah, if you can afford it, definitely go buy one. It's a fun car. I'm glad that my brother has one because I can't afford it, but maybe he'll let me drive it here and there and I can beat the shit out of it. But it'll be really cool to see if he does any mods to it. He did the muffler delete, but I don't know how crazy he wants to get with it. But it will be cool just to drive it around, see what the drivability is like once you actually start modding it, because the drivability now is amazing. I mean, it doesn't heat up at all. Like Hellcats, you can get them to run pretty hot in traffic, because they definitely don't run as cool as they should. But you can fix it obviously with a different thermostat, some tuning, running E85, running meth. That all that stuff helps out. But you can definitely get the Hellcats pretty hot. The Jeep, I mean, the drivability is amazing. The thing, it's a little firm, but I think the suspension is tuned for that because of the power it makes. You kind of need that. But for being as big and as heavy as it is, like I said, it corners really well. And the interior, like I said, it's like the SRTs. I think the bolsters are a little different, but I mean, it's pretty nice back there, and it's got the screens. There's nothing really special though about the inside compared to an SRT though. It's kind of, it's pretty much the same. There's nothing too different. So you guys can kind of see. So there it goes. This is kind of, this is similar to what the Hellcat has. Obviously it's a little different because it's in a Jeep, so it's laid out just a little bit different, but you can change the transmission, the paddle shifting, stability control, all-wheel drive, suspension, steering. You've got options from street, track, and sport on those, and then default, obviously. Go to race options. You've got your launch control. You can set your shift light. You can up the RPMs on your launch control. So it's set to 1800 RPMs right now for your launch control. You could turn that up all the way up to 3500 RPMs would be the max for the launch control. Let's go back. And you could obviously put it in valet mode. Got pretty much everything a Hellcat has, but it's got all-wheel drive and it's in a Jeep, which is really cool. So that's my review of the Hellcat. Let me know what you guys think below. If you had the money, if you had $100,000, would you buy it? Would you buy it used? I don't know what the depreciation will look like. Obviously, the Hellcats over the last 2 years have dropped tremendously in price, so now's a good time to buy them. So if the Jeep does that also, which Jeeps tend to hold their value a lot better, I don't think it'll do it as bad if it does do it. And they made a lot less Trackhawks than Hellcats, so they kind of overproduced the Hellcats there for a little bit because people were buying them. They were trying to meet the demands of the consumers. So the Jeeps, I don't know how many they're made. One of you, I'm sure, will comment and let me know. But they are very rare. There's not that many made. The dealerships out here are only getting 2 to 3 at max per dealership. I know the dealership they went to, they only had 2, and they actually had to order another one. So these are very rare, so I'm pretty sure they'll hold their value really well. So, I mean, I would buy one, but I just don't think they're going to drop in value like the Hellcats did. So if they did, I would definitely pick one up, though, and I would just have one vehicle because this thing's pretty badass. But that's my review of it. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. If you had the money, would you purchase it, or would you purchase something else? And make sure you guys always comment, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram and Snapchat at VanV39. We'll see you guys on the next one.